April 10th, 2008, began like any ordinary spring day. Chris Short had just returned from work, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But the moment he stepped through the front door, he sensed something was wrong. The door was unlocked. Cautiously, Chris entered the house, and what he found in the kitchen was a nightmare. His 16-year-old stepdaughter, Megan Landowski, was lying in a massive pool of blood. She was dead. The scene was brutal and chilling. Detectives were baffled. Who could have committed such a savage crime against an innocent girl? For more than 6 months, they struggled to solve the mystery. In the end, the killer had been closer than anyone realized. The quiet town of Portsmouth. Portsmouth, Virginia, is a vital naval and port city, home to the U.S. Navy and Coast Guard. Sailors and their families live on peaceful, picturesque streets just steps away from the waterfront and shipyards. Among them was Chris Short, a senior Navy officer, who lived with his wife Angela and her 3 children from a previous marriage, Elizabeth, Megan, and Corey Landowski. For a year, the family had been stationed at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. When they returned to the U.S., Chris was reassigned to the Naval Hospital in Portsmouth. Megan, the eldest at 16, immediately signed up for dance classes, something she had missed dearly while living in Guantanamo, where no such programs were available. Angela described Megan as full of life and always on the go between dance and school. She loved boys, hairstyles, and, most of all, fashion. Megan was, by all accounts, a typical teenage girl, beautiful, friendly, and talented. Everyone who met her was drawn to her magnetic personality. But what happened to her would forever scar the town. The day everything changed. Thursday, April 10th, 2008, began like many others. Angela dropped Megan off at school that morning. Later that afternoon, Chris returned home. As he pulled into the driveway, he noticed the front door was open. He called out for Megan, no response. He walked into the kitchen and saw her lying motionless on the floor. She looked like a porcelain figurine, Chris would later recall. Just lying there, staring off into space. Panicked and horrified, he called the police. A crime scene of unthinkable brutality. 16-year-old Megan Landowski had been murdered in her own home. The first officer on the scene was Detective Doug Funkhauser. As he approached the front door, he noticed blood on the doorknob. Inside the kitchen, he saw Megan, partially undressed, lying in a large pool of blood. She had multiple stab wounds to her back, neck, and throat. Clear packing tape had been placed over her mouth. Even for a seasoned detective, the scene was deeply disturbing. Funkhauser would later admit it was the most violent, horrifying crime he had ever investigated in his entire career. "I had to step back and take a breath," he said. "This was a child, and I had to focus to do my job." He quickly called in a full forensic team to assist with the case. Clues that told a grim story. Forensic investigators quickly determined that the killer hadn't been invited in, he had broken in through a first-floor window. Once inside, he made his way upstairs to Megan's bedroom and attacked her. The room showed signs of a struggle. Megan's bed was a mess, and near one corner of it lay a tape dispenser, likely the source of the packing tape used to bind her. Then came the most harrowing evidence. Semen was found on Megan's bedding and underwear, indicating that she had been raped before her death. Investigators now had two crime scenes, one upstairs, where the sexual assault occurred, and one downstairs, where Megan was stabbed and ultimately killed. A calculated and brutal attack. Megan was stabbed approximately 40 times. The wounds were inflicted with extreme rage and precision. This was not a random act of violence. The killer knew exactly what he was doing and ensured he achieved his grim objective. According to investigators, the attack had all the markings of a premeditated murder. It wasn't a crime of passion. The perpetrator acted with chilling calm and methodical intent. After the murder, the killer tried to eliminate evidence. Several items were missing from the crime scene, including Megan's cell phone and her laptop. Uncovering the truth. The investigation began with a thorough questioning of family members and Megan's close friends. Detectives focused in on the people in Megan's life. She was a well-liked girl with a wide social circle, and soon a name surfaced: Vernon Whitney. Just weeks before her death, Megan had ended a relationship with Vernon. According to her friends, the breakup hadn't gone well. Vernon had become obsessive and aggressive. Megan had confided in those close to her, saying that Vernon followed her after school and even tried to listen in on her private conversations. Detectives couldn't ignore those statements. Vernon was brought in for questioning. He denied any involvement and claimed he had been home on the day of the murder. But his alibi didn't check out. Then came the conclusive evidence: DNA. Forensic analysis revealed that the semen found on Megan's body was a match to Vernon Whitney. The arrest and a new suspect. The DNA results sealed Vernon's fate. He was arrested and charged with rape and murder. But the case didn't end there. Investigators suspected that Vernon might not have acted alone. Further inquiries revealed that Vernon's younger brother, James, had also been in the house the day Megan was killed. He admitted to seeing Vernon enter Megan's room, but told no one, not even their parents. When brought in for questioning, James eventually cracked. He confessed that he had heard screams but was too scared to intervene. A trial for justice. As detectives wrapped up their investigation, the prosecution began building its case. The evidence was overwhelming: fingerprints, DNA samples, witness testimonies, and Vernon's disturbing behavior before and after the murder. 9 months after the killing, the trial began. In court, Megan's mother wept as the prosecutor recounted her daughter's final hours. The defense tried to argue that the murder was accidental, that Vernon never intended to kill. But the sheer volume and severity of the evidence said otherwise. In January 2009, Vernon Whitney was found guilty of the rape and murder of Megan Landowski. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.